Hi guys, hi everyone. Today we have with us Rajesh sir. Rajesh sir is a placement head from Vivekanand College. So, sir, today I'm going to ask you a few hard-hitting questions. Number one, the life is not as rosy as we think in the B school. It's just a reality check today. क्योंकि आपको MBA के बाद भी आपको you have to give a written test, you have to pass a GDPI. So it's not like कि आप MBA में आ गए और job लग गया. So you have to still fight for the top job especially. Number two question I'm going to ask you, which is a very touching point, is CTC versus in hand salary. Because the moment any आयन वाला कहता है एवरेज सैलरी 32 लाख, तो पब्लिक अरे नहीं नहीं ये तो जब फेक है, ये है वो है. तो CTC versus in hand point we will talk about. Third point, which is my personal question as well, कि every B school is showing a 20% hike in the salary after COVID, 20, 15, 10, कोई 30 वाले भी हैं. तो is it actually market have increased that much? Because कोविड के बाद मुझे लगता नहीं कि मार्केट, मुझे दिखता नहीं है कि मार्केट इतना ग्रो किया है. So these are three hard hitting questions which nobody can answer except you. So sir, please shed some light about all these things. So let's start with the first question about this thing, के placement process होता क्या है? The moment student join the college, what is the placement routine or placement journey of a student?
So firstly, I will begin by introducing myself with my full name. My name is Rajesh Jamwal, and yes, like you rightly pointed out, I'm working with Vivekanand Business School, Mumbai. Okay, and I've been into placement for several years. Now, coming back to your question about the salary, right? So let's talk about the salaries first. Then I'll come to the placement processes. Okay, so the salary is basically the companies present the salary on their own based on their structures that they have. Every company has got their own specific structure that cannot be debated because the company cannot, kind of have a disparity for one person or one campus as compared to the entire set of organization or entire framework of the organization. So company has their set parameters. They give us a particular CTC. We offer the same to the students without kind of manipulating them. Now, what the companies offer, a student needs to understand. They need to go to the placement department frequently, and as and when the job posting is posted or notified to the student, they should go back to the placement department, kind of reconfirm what the salary is in hand, CTC, what are the perks, so on and so forth. So that will give you clarity, because I cannot discuss about the salary in general because it is case-to-case basis based on the company and their own structures. So that's about the salary. With regards to the
salary I want to add one more point. Like you said, rightly said, guys, so don't blame the college for that. If you want to blame anyone, blame the company for that, because college cannot do anything. And the same scenario is going for all the colleges. Engineering college में ऐसे ही होता है. ऐसे नहीं कि MBA का CTC अलग है, engineering का CTC अलग है. And to give you a ballpark figure, sir, this is a number I use. Maybe you can improve that number. 80% लेके चलो, whichever company on average 80% will be in hand and 20% is going to be a variable pay, which will be based on your performance, your company performance, market scenario. That's a number I normally give to all the students.
Absolutely, completely correct, and thanks for filling in. But I would also say that it is always the onus of the student to go back to the placement department and double check what is the salary offered, what is the take home, what is the reality out there. So the onus lies in the hands of the students, and the students exercise that onus.
And sir, one more question: do the company give the breakup that this is going to be your in hand and this is going to be CTC, or can they just give us a ballpark number ki itna milega?
See, at times when you ask the company does feel free to share the details of the breakup. But most of the companies do. Some of the companies don't do it. All again is case-to-case basis. I mean, the placement department can go and ask the company to kind of reveal the breakup. If the company is willing to reveal, they will reveal it.
Right. Sir, I want to add one thing here. I was working UK. So London में Stancy was paying एकदम double pay. And we were shocked here. How can the company, we were paying around 50,000 pound per year, and Stancy was paying 80, 90, 100,000 pounds. So then we came to know they're also charging the cabin charges for the employees. Okay, if you are going to occupy the cabin and we are going to charge you for the cabin also in the office. So वो seat is that's one way to वो हर company को दिखाना होता है. They also want to show the highest package ताकि और नाम हो उनके बारे में. So that's one of the things which company does. All the company does.
That is quite insightful. Yes.
Yeah. Even I was shocked to see that. Sir, London में property is anyway expensive. So London में prime location पे property they're going to charge the employee for that as a part of CTC. Otherwise, training cost is normally added to the CTC by a lot of companies. Joining bonus. So guys, you have to check with the company rather than your college about the exact salary in hand you are going to get. ठीक है sir. First question. Second question sir, कौन सा आंसर करना चाहोगे?
The placement process that you talked about. So the placement process is basically how every institution basically follows a specific process. Now, how uniquely you're forming your process is completely dependent upon the placement team and the creativity of the placement team. Now, what we do is, I have not come across many or any colleges kind of doing this one-on-one counseling. One-on-one counseling means we actually go into the depth of knowing the student very well, understanding the student's strengths and weaknesses by way of kind of giving them psychometrics, by way of having a case study with them. Each and every individual student is case studied in terms of his understanding, his interests. We talk about career interests, we talk about aptitude, we talk about attitude, we talk about the learning style, we talk about how the person can perform. Now, during these conversations with the students and a one-on-one conversation, we realize and we understand the students' lacunas in terms of their predominant lacunas, like the communication skills, like how they can handle stress, adversity quotient, so on and so forth, emotional quotients of the students. And basis of that, we kind of start designing programs for the students, which we believe have become very effective for the students to kind of perform during their interviews. So that's one. Second, we work additionally with students on their communication skills. The communication could be either verbal and non-verbal or a combination of both. So that is a major role in terms of communications with the students. Now, when we talk about communication, a part of the communication also falls into the bracket of functional skills. Now, when I talk about functional skills, the skills that student is into the campus to learn. For a PGDM students of Vivekanand Business School, these parameters play a paramount important role which goes into the training. We also conduct various kind of aptitude tests with the students on a very frequent basis, namely the TCS Iron, we talk about Recall, we talk about Pearson's. So all these tests basically assemble and accumulate together to kind of develop the student wholesome and holistically. Besides that, we also work with the students to kind of develop and understand their conflict management skills. Conflict management also, correlates with the relationship management, because when you go to the corporate, the first thing that you need to develop is a relationship with your team members, with your subordinates, with your managers, with your superiors, with your clients, so on and so forth. And whenever you are interacting with one human to another human, there are bound to be conflicts over a period of time. So we help students to learn and understand the nuances of conflict management, which immensely adds into development of the students. So these are some of the things that we do. Now, besides that, what we do is we also give them a 35 question set called Know Me, KNOW, me. So in this, what happens is the student is asked to write in-depth details about himself, what he feels about himself, and also come up with an explanation why he has written a particular statement. Like, for example, if the student says my strengths are my communication skills, so we need to understand what does he mean by saying communication. So therefore, this entails the student to think very deep even before he starts writing. Think very deep what he has to write, because whatever he is writing, he has to answer it back to us, because we will do a double check on them and we take it during the one-on-one counseling or this case study to kind of understand whether the student has written what he actually meant or what he perceived. So these are the differences that we have for our students. We also conduct very frequently various kind of mock tests, mock interviews, TDPI, extempores. Now these are the things which basically helps students to build up their communication skills, their confidence, their public presentation skills, so on and so forth. So these are the game changers when it comes to the Vivekananda Business School for our students.
Right. Sir, I would like to add here or ask you one question. Part of that is that too, I believe every student who is joining MBA college is like a raw gem who need to be cut. Yeah. So obviously B school is going to help to doing that. And I normally say to all the students कि भाई 2 साल का टाइम है तुम्हारे पास. Fine. Sir, anyone ask me कि मेरे को जॉब लगेगा मैं कहता हूँ भाई तू पहले शीशे में देख. तेरे को MBA दिख रहा है कि नहीं दिख रहा. ठीक है. Your क्या बोलते हैं concise क्या बोलते हैं concise your insight, conscience, yes, exactly. Though you can feel it कि तुम्हारे में क्या कमी, you know that, everybody knows that तुम्हें क्या आता क्या नहीं आता. आपके बाद 2 साल का टाइम दिया गया to improve yourself of all the weakness you have, and you can do that. So sir, anything you like to add which a student should do before joining the college?
Okay. So firstly, you should accept the congratulations from our side to have got an admission into the MBA institute. But beyond that, your struggles start. Now, what are these struggles and how you can overcome these struggles? If you were to analyze students, each and every student, why I'm saying analyze? Because in our institute, in Vivekananda Business Institute, we, on a basis of our one-on-one counseling with the students, we analyze the students, and basis of our analysis, what we have realized is that the students predominantly lack self-awareness. When I talk about self-awareness, they have taken admission in the MBA institute, but why? It becomes a question mark. Okay, then going forward, they need to choose a specialization. Why? That becomes a question mark. Now, unless and until the students have the self-awareness as to what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what are they capable of, what is it that they can deliver at the end of the day, that matters a lot. So that is the first step. Now, if the student can clear that first step in a more learned way, if I were to put it that way, the student can benefit immensely from the entire course. That is one. Second, when the student becomes self-aware, he develops this tendency of being flexible. Plan A nahi chala, plan B mein jao. So you start preparing plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. Now you can only prepare plan A, plan B, plan C only when you are completely aware as to what is it you want to do. I would also suggest to students to kind of do a very predominant or a very basic research as to figure out like if your concern is with regards to the job, then you need to do a very basic research as to what kind of jobs are available in your own preferred specialization in the market. So you can see the kind of jobs that are available, the kind of job descriptions that are available out there, the kind of compensations that are being offered for a fresher and for somebody with 1 year experience. That can be easily found out on the today we have this internet, so we have Google. So all these information is available on Google. All the person needs to do is go and find out that information. 3 is the students need to set up their own goals. If they cannot set up their own goals, they need to kind of go and approach the faculty mentors, the placement department to help them set up the goals. Goals, when I talk about, should be SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable kind of goals for short term, mid term, as well as long term. And then once you have set up your own goals, you need to kind of identify a path how you're going to be achieving or accomplishing those goals. Having done that, you have done major portion of your job to understand the kind of jobs that you might get. Okay. Now, every student is different. Every student has got a very different personality. Okay. So what job I can get at basis of my capabilities, perhaps you cannot get. Or perhaps if I were to put it the other way, what job you can get, what salary you can get, perhaps I will not be able to get because my personality is not the same as yours. Okay. Again, when it comes to the getting the jobs, one company comes in, 10 students apply, 10 company does not have that many number of vacancies. They may just have one or two vacancies, or they may have had a quota. Okay, for this particular college, we'll hire two people. We'll hire two more people from the other college. So companies work on the basic of their own framework, quota basis. So if you have not got a job and you do not get a feedback, okay, you're not being selected or you're rejected and all these things, you need to kind of not start brooding about it. You need to start pondering, in fact, learning from your own mistakes by pondering and thinking, okay, what could have happened at the time of interview? Go back, reflect on the interview as to what has happened, reflect on the expressions of the interviewer, reflect on your own expressions whenever you have given an answer. See where you can find a change or a shift in expressions of the interviewer or your own self, and you'll realize your mistake. So once you realize your mistake, the next time you do better, and then obviously you can get you can land in a job which is your dream job or a job with your dream salary.
Right, super. And sir, moving to the last question regarding the question.
CTC breakup.
CTC, yes. CTC, okay. We talked about CTC. We talked about CTC. About the reality of the placements. Is actually the market scenario back on track for MBAs? Or is it like a sugar coating things so that public vapas aaye campus pe? What is exactly happening?
No, it is a reality. The demands for freshers have increased. There are a lot of companies, because of the COVID lockdown, had either closed down or they had discontinued with several employees, or the same employees have quit the organization because of no salaries or low salaries or whatever. The cost of hiring the freshers is by far the cheapest and the most economical for any organization. Now you have these talent which are basically raw. They have completed 50% of their development in the theoretical part, and the rest 50% now they are going to be stepping into the corporates. That's where the learning starts. Now, like I said, we work with our students for them to become flexible. So the companies understand that most of the students coming from my campus would be flexible. So yes, I'm only talking about my campus. I'm not talking about the other campus here at this point, just for a few fractions of this moment. So we kind of train the students to become flexible with regards to the companies, the jobs that they are looking for, and be prepared to kind of go to companies which have offer them a relatively a reasonable job. Now, what happens is, what happens is companies are looking for this kind of fresh talent whom they can, fresh and flexible talent with whom the companies can train, mold, and basically mold them basis of the company's own mission and vision. Every company has got their own specific vision and mission, and the companies find it much more easier as compared to the tenured or lateral hires to train the freshers better. So therefore, yes, companies, more and more companies have started coming into the campuses these days, and which is very, very true. You still have 20, in some cases even 30% rise in number of companies visiting the campus.
So I believe it's a W-shaped, a K-shaped. It's called K-shaped economy growth. K means there are a lot of industries going up, like finance is back, IT is already, IT was never down, in fact. So IT, finance, pharma are all doing well. On the other hand, there are some sector like manufacturing who have not yet recovered. So, and the MBA is predominantly service-based industry. All the service-based industries are the highly paid masters for MBA. So I think that's why MBA salary have gone up, because the industry where most of the MBAs are hired are recovering. Supply chain, all these things have already recovered. Sorry to say that. So that's why you can see the hike in 20% up to 30% as well in some colleges.
Absolutely. I will only add one more thing to what you just said is this year onwards, and I am assuming even the coming year onwards, the manufacturing setup is going to be gearing up to hire freshers, because they are also, manufacturing companies are the most cost conscious companies. They are also realizing the fact that hiring fresh MBAs from the campuses is going to do immensely good for the organization. So they are coming back to the campuses. Yes.
Right. Sir, by a fresher, you mean only the freshers wala fresher, or in general MBA with 1 or 2 years of work ex as well?
Okay. So that's a very good question that you asked me, and this is a really touchy point here. I would only say that audience listeners, please brace up yourself to kind of understand this reality here. If I were to kind of search for words in my mind, how do I put this as? Just repeat that question. I'll get
my okay. I'll keep the question very independent from what we talked about earlier. Who will you prefer? Who have a better chance to get a better job, a fresher or a MBA with work experience?
Okay.
Student with work experience.
Right. So this is a very touchy point that we talked about. See, most of the companies, I'm not saying all of them, most of the companies come to the campuses bearing in mind and assuming that they will get freshers. So despite the fact that the student has got 1 or 2 years experience, they may or may not consider that experience to hire the student. Now, why I say may or may not? May consider if the students past experience is relevant to the current company's job. If it is not relevant, the student is considered as a fresher. If I just to give you an example, I've come across a lot of students coming from the BPO background. They apply for, and they kind of, so for example, chosen finance as their specialization, or for that matter, even marketing is their specialization. So if the student says, if the student is applying for a digital marketing job description, he says, I've got 2 years of experience in a BPO. Obviously, as a company, I will not consider that experience as an experience. I may consider that as an exposure to the corporate, but not as an experience which is relevant to my profile, my role. So, in all probabilities, in all clarity or of the role, that I may consider the person as a fresher only. So, students, once you become self-aware as to what you have done in the past and what is it you want to do in the future, you'll be able to project your candidature to the company basis of your past experience, and perhaps even apply to the organization which have a relevant job description basis of your past experience. That will add on a lot of value to your candidature, and the company may consider your experience. If it is 2 years, so you might get a little higher packages compared to a fresher.
Right. Sir, I normally answer this question to anyone who asks me this question. मैं उनको सीधा बोलता हूँ कि भाई, if you're on the table, once you're sitting on the table, it doesn't matter what background you're from, what color, creed, caste, doesn't matter at all. So if you're able to reach the final interview table, then everybody have an equal chance to convert. This is no, because the company already shortlisted them according to their requirement. So that is one thing. But sir, I've seen one fact. This is my understanding. In summer placement, freshers have upper hand. In the final placement, work experience people have upper hand. Do you agree with this thing or not?
Both ways, I agree. Both ways, I agree. But again, like you said in your first statement, once you're on the table, it doesn't matter what caste creed you are from. It is basically how you impress with your answers to the interviewer.
Right.
So that gives you a fair chance. That gives everybody a fair chance to get selected.
Right. And I didn't mean to say कि मतलब if you have work experience, then समझ होगा ही नहीं. I'm saying preference. They prefer a person with, of course, if you are very smart, if you have work ex, you don't have work ex, they'll take you. But that's a general trend I've seen. People with work experience, they tend to lag behind in summer placement time, because in summer they want people to do activities which normally work ex person will not do. They want people with a fresh mindset. And because people with work experience of more than 2 years, they have a set mindset. They already are managed in the corporate way. So they want someone kind of who have not experienced corporate and try to find out some new ways to do things and etc.
I have one piece of advice to the few students who have experience and they're kind of sitting for internship or not sitting for internship. So basically, just one simple statement is to learn something, you need to unlearn something in the past that you've done. Okay, so when you talk about internship, you need to kind of go in as an intern, not as a person who's got about a couple of years of experience from past. Because if you want to do that, obviously your attitude and your approach is not in the correct direction, and you lose out on learning something new. So go ahead as a fresher, see what happens in an internship, despite the fact that you have got a couple of years of experience in the past. And because the internship, again, the question of stipend, kitna hota hai, and you will immediately start psychologically, you immediately start comparing with your past salary. Other people's salary तो 20,000 का मिलता था, but the stipend तो 10,000 दे रहे, so how do I take it up? So you have to not equate everything with money. You need to kind of understand as to what you can learn out of that.
Right. Right. Superb. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for coming and talking
Thank
to
you.
us.
Thank you
And
very much.
all the best, guys, for your placement and everything. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.
Take care.